Air potato was introduced in the 30s and 40s as a horticultural or ornamental vine. It's from Asia and North Africa. So it was introduced in South Florida. It's escaped in South Florida but made its way to Central Florida, where we just have the right climate and conditions for it to spread the way it does. The air potato is listed as a noxious weed in the US. It's on the state noxious weed list as well. So that's basically preventing any trade or movement of the plant throughout the state and between states. And so it climbs to try to get the most optimal area, which actually disrupts the habitat. Well, when it shades out those habitats and kills off all the plants underneath it, then that habitat is no longer viable for the animals or plants. So it really decreases the diversity of an area. It happened to be that the air potato beetle was kind of a joint project between the state and the feds. They went ahead and they do a lot of testing, and it takes anywhere from 5 to 10 years for them to be testing that particular species of beetle. Only actually eats Dioscorea bulbifera, which is our air potato.
One beetle, so its larvae stage and the adult stage, can eat about 30 square feet of leaf tissue in its lifetime. So one female can lay about 2,000 to 4,000 eggs. Their cycle is about 5 to 6 weeks long. So you can see how about every month or so, their population just increases exponentially because they're laying thousands of eggs. So you release a few hundred, then you have thousands in a month and tens of thousands a month later from that. So their populations get really, really big. Then in the fall, as the vines senesce, they do feed some on the potatoes that are growing, but it's not enough to kill the potatoes. That's more to get some carbohydrates for energy to develop fat bodies to make it through the winter. This is pretty typical right here. They'll chew a lot of holes in it. It doesn't necessarily kill the leaves though, but by doing that all over the vine, it disrupts the photosynthesis so that the tuber that's underground can't get as much energy as it normally would get. And so that tuber then will shrink each year. So instead of having bulbils in the ground looking like this in the fall, the bulbils are hard to find and they're all very small, which is great. That means we're slowing the spread of it as well. We've already seen after 2 years of large-scale releases, and we've been releasing for 3 years, so the first year was more research-focused. In the areas we've released the beetles, the vines are only getting maybe 12 feet high versus 30 feet high. Now, this will probably never eradicate air potato. It's more of control. That's why we call it biological control. So it'll just keep the vines in check to a point where it's not a nuisance anymore and it's not really causing problems. In 3 years, we've released 300,000 beetles at close to 1,000 sites in almost 50 counties in Florida. So we put out a great deal of beetles. What we wanted to do was, in those areas that are protected, build up large populations of the beetle and let them disperse on their own. It truly involves everyone that's in Florida, and everyone has a stake in Florida and eradicating this vine.
I think we did catch it. We caught it on the perfect part of the curve of where it was exponentially growing out of control. We caught it just in time to start making a dent in the population of air potato before it became too destructive to the plant communities out there. The recovery of the natural plant communities will probably be 100%.